Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Healing Conversations. My name is Einav Avni. I'm an alignment coach and energy healer. And this podcast, Healing Conversation for Anything Chronic, is really bringing the message of hope for alternative healing. And this is what we're all about. So let me introduce you to our today's guest. Today with us, Serena Curran. Serena, so lovely to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. And I'm so happy to be here with you this morning.
Thank you. So let's get started. Tell us something about you.
Well, I've been doing healing work for over 25 years, and I began as a hands-on healer. And interestingly enough, I'm from the US, but I had my first healing practice in Austria. and, uh, and that was totally guided, of course. And so I've had a lot of experience with working with people. And I've also became a certified healing touch practitioner after I'd had a healing practice when I lived in Hawaii. And so I have a lot of experience with different kinds of illnesses and with different kinds of issues that arise when people have physical ailments that are disturbing them. But currently, I work more with the Akashic Records and helping people grow their business. But of course, you realize that unless they're healthy, they really can't do that either.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
So tell me, I mean, healing, touching healing. What do you actually mean?
Oh, well, there is a program here called the Healing Touch Program. It's a nursing continuing education program, so nurses do it, but it's also open to anyone that's a healer. And it is a standardized program. It's recognized in hospitals. So I worked in hospitals doing healing work. They used to leave me a little, like a pharmacy card, but it was a card saying this patient would like healing touch. And I was certified, so I had to go through a process to show that I knew how to work with energy and how to work with patients. And it's one of the few ways that an energy healer can get certified as a healer without going to like a 4-year school or something like that. And since I am a natural healer and I've already had a healing practice, that wasn't really something I was going to do. So it opened opportunities
Right,
for me
right.
to work in hospitals. Mhm.
Amazing. That's so good. I don't know that we have that here in the UK, but that's quite amazing that you have it over there in the
Yeah.
States and the hospitals, and understand that alternative healing or energy healing is, can be a very important part of the healing.
Yes, and of course I was in Hawaii, and there are all these different traditions of energy healing. And one day I was working on a Japanese American woman, and in the hospital, and one of her friends went by and said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "Oh, we're doing jure." And I said, "Oh, what's jure?" It's another form of energy healing. So for her mind, that's what we were doing. And so there's a
Yeah,
tradition there of each one of those different cultures has that some sort of an energy healing background in it.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating. And so tell me, as you said, you were a natural healer. How did you know that you were a natural healer, and what was your earlier experience like?
Well, my childhood experience was that my parents were children when they had me, and I basically raised myself and raised them as well, as well as my siblings, and so I had an early on connection with the divine because that was really all I had to count on, but it was really only many years later when I dreamed that I was a healer and I recognized that I was. And I was talking to someone who was doing a reading for me, and she said, "You're a natural healer," and I said, "No." And then she asked me if I to do all these things, and I could do them. So basically, then I started to look back in my life, and I remembered certain instances, like when my son had his feet needed to be um, exercise. They were going to put casts on him, and I worked on his feet as I was directed by the doctor. And when we went back to put the casts on, the doctor looked at me and he said, "Well, he doesn't need casts now." Puzzled. So, and I could look back, and then my ex-husband had a melanoma, and I can remember at some point, just all of a sudden, knowing everything was okay. So there was not, it was an unconscious process earlier on, and then it became conscious.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then you mentioned the Akashic records. Tell us a little bit what these are and how did that come about?
Well, I've always been connected to them, and I didn't have that knowledge. But the Akashic records are actually the records of your soul, and they're energetic records, so they're held on a higher dimension. And so, as your soul has traveled, it's had all kinds of experiences. So your soul gets formed as an original, beautiful, energetic soul, and as it travels, the vehicle makes some decisions that are not in the highest good of that soul, and it causes interferences. So as we sit here, we have this beautiful soul, but it has some clouds of keeping it from being expressed. And so I look at those gifts, and I tell people what those superpowers are that they have. I currently tell them how they can use them in business, but that can be applied to any part of your life. And I also look and see what's interfering with the expression of those and remove those, and it changes people's lives. And of course, I came to understand when I was doing hands-on healing that all illnesses have an emotional basis behind them, or an energetic basis, or could be something that's being carried in your Akashic records that needs to be cleared. And really, let me just say one more thing about that, which is that you can do a lot of healing on the mental, emotional level, but it doesn't really filter up to correct those patterns that are held on the level of the soul. And so when you clear the Akashic records, you clear these energetics that may take eons to clear otherwise, and then it filters right down into the mental, emotional parts of your being. So it's very powerful.
So I'm really curious. Like really, really curious, actually.
That's a good thing, always.
I guess my first question is, because when I work with people I mainly work with people suffering from chronic pain and chronic illness, and
Mm-hmm.
and my whole belief really is that, like you say, anything physical has an emotional root cause.
Yeah.
And what I really believe is that we basically the message that people are missing, the emotional root cause, is basically when we are moving away from our alignment and moving away from our soul needs, or souls, who we
Mm-hmm.
meant to be really. And the more we let go of all the fears and limitations and compromises and all of that, the more we get back to ourselves, and really the physical element is not needed anymore, because we've understood what it is that we didn't do before. But what you're saying, or what I understand from what you're saying, is that actually, even if you understand your emotional root cause, you might want to actually clear it in another layer so that it really goes up to the soul. And does that mean then that without clearing it with their Akashic record, that the work that we do is not complete? Do I understand that correctly?
Well, I think I would modify it a little bit and just say that you can do healing on the mental, emotional level for sure, and it's great. But there may be other patterns that can't be touched by that
Mhm.
came from past lives or other places that would be held in the Akashic records. So it's not like mental, emotional healing isn't a good thing. It is. It's very helpful, but you can take a shortcut from for certain interferences that keep you from expressing yourself, or keep you from knowing your truth. All of these sorts of things. That is maybe we could say it's more like on the subconscious level. I don't
Mhm.
know if that's just an analogy. That's not a fact. So basically, there are patterns in there that can't be touched by the mental, emotional healing. So it's not that you could heal something and maybe emotionally, and you think if it's healed emotionally on this level, it's whatever root cause it is it's healed as it's going to be on this level. There may or may not be a pattern in the records that relates to that. There could be different patterns.
Mhm.
So does that make sense? I'm
It does, but more questions are coming.
delighted to answer.
Thank you. Because I guess sometimes when I work with people, like I say, I work on the alignment and also do the energy healing. And then sometimes I notice that some people take maybe longer to heal things that in my other experience I would already expect them to have bigger shifts. And I guess maybe that's what you are referring to, that these patterns exist.
Yeah, these patterns that are deeper, and sometimes you can't get to them with mental emotional healing. It will take too long to do so. And so yes, that is the case. And I don't know, I was going to say something else, but I'll let you ask another question.
Great. Yes. So the Akashic record, as you're saying, it's is that what we also do? They hold the soul plan, like we talk about the soul plans, the pre-birth plan that we come down here with, or is that something different?
No, it's all related. So in my view, what we're here to do is express our soul, and I work with alignment with the soul. So we're on the same page there with that. So I work with alignment with the soul. So in my view is you're here to express that soul. That's what you came here for. And how you want to do that is up to you. This is a free will zone. And so you go ahead. I don't believe we come here with that we come here to have certain experiences. There are experiences that are in your birth plan that you're here to have, but how you march through those, or how do you take your path through those, is up to you in this lifetime. So you didn't come here. I know there's a lot of people talk about finding your purpose and looking all over for your purpose. I find it very hard to imagine that a soul comes here to be in this body, then it comes in here and says, okay, we're going to look like for a needle in a haystack. No, the soul knows what needs to be expressed. It's up to you to decide how you want to express it, because we all have other different interests and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I guess it's because you see, in my experience, the reason why there's all these illnesses, at least that's what I believe, is really when we allow too much fear and conditioning and things that are stopping us from really being ourselves. If so, we have. I believe that we have a purpose. We came here to do something. Like you say, we need to. We are here to, to fulfill our soul's needs, or to express our soul. But a lot of us don't do that because we're so terrified of being ourselves. We're so terrified of what other people might say, or how we're being seen, or what we are allowed to do. So we're looking for approvals and permissions. So we actually never get round to it. And so the question, when I ask people, I said, what is it that you believe that you came here to do? And all of a sudden it's like, a lot of people never thought about it actually. So, there's a lot of work to do.
Well, I don't know that, in my view, I don't think we came here with a specific thing to do. I think we came here with an overall, for me, I know that I'm here to help people to express their higher potential, and I, from my astrology, which is separate from my soul,
Right.
I know that I'm here to help spiritual entrepreneurs and change makers and visionaries to really have a bigger impact. So I know those things from my birth chart, but from my soul, I know that I'm a communicator, and I'm a manifester, and I'm here to teach certain things because I know them on a soul level. So that's how I know that I'm here to teach those. And so what I say is that, yes, there's these clearings of these limiting beliefs and all of that sort of thing, but there are patterns that cannot be cleared by those processes. And those patterns are the ones that are held at the soul level. So you might have made an ancestral vow back in, 10 lifetimes ago that you're still living under, which was the experience that I had. So one of the things that happened for me is that I came to a place where I couldn't go forward. And I actually had the Akashic records around me for a long time, and the words kept coming to me. And I happened to watch a podcast, and this woman was talking about it, and I said, that's what I need to do. And I went and did it. And it turned out I had an ancient vow of obedience. So I would have like this whisper always in my ear, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And when the records were cleared, I could feel all the energy lifting off of me, because I'm clairsentient. I could feel the energy lifting off of me, and it changed the power of it is that you can change. It can change your life overnight. It can put your life on a different trajectory immediately after the records are cleared. So there are patterns in there that can't be reached by mental emotional healing. So you could clear those patterns, and then you could still have some limiting beliefs that you need to work with. Does that?
Yeah.
These are, you could still have some issues around, let's say, visibility, or you could have nervous system issues. A lot of people have problems with their nervous system being very stimulated. And so, and we live in an environment where that's really easy, to just watch the news and you can get.
Yeah.
So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so you mentioned earlier that, that you might want to, okay, maybe I'll just ask you differently. What is the connection that you've made earlier about, people in business or with illnesses and the Akashic records? What is it that they need to clear to be able to be healed and to be wealthy and all of that?
Well, first of all, the wealth comes from aligning with your soul. And for me, wealth is everything. It's the freedom, it's money, it's your health, it's your, your life experience. That's wealth. It's a whole, to me, it's a whole thing. And what I say about aligning with your soul is I work with, directly aligning, helping you through the Akashic records to align with your soul. But again, it's about harmonizing with your soul. It's a holistic kind of thing. So there are other factors that may come into play, but clearing your records is just really powerful. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Did I answer your question?
Well, at the beginning, we were saying that yes, people they might want to clear the Akashic records so that they can reach the wealth and the health that they wish for.
Yes, exactly. So when you clear the records, I mean, I don't know. Everybody's different, obviously, because everybody has their soul's had its own experiences, and everyone is different. But there are many, many different things that can be in the records that can cause problems, like contracts and implants and all kinds of things that I look for. And there also can be things from this lifetime decisions you've made in this lifetime that created patterns that are a problem. And then there's intergenerational. We have all kinds of things that we can work with where it's some kind of limitation has come down through the DNA. I also look at that as well. It's genetic karma, we call it. And so there are many avenues for being able to become more of who you truly are, which is what we're here to do.
So what is the view? Are we saying that if someone is suffering from chronic pain or chronic illness, is there always something in the Akashic record that will have something to do with that?
I don't know. I would never make a blanket statement like that. I don't know that there always is. I would say that no matter what is in the records, their life is going to be much better based on that. And whether that means that the chronic pain is gone or the chronic illness is gone, or that they function on a different level so that they can take the actions that they need to be able to release those things. I don't guarantee anything because I don't know what's in your soul or what's in your records until I go in there, which is part of the fun. It's like, oh, I'm like a detective. I get to go in there and see what's in there and bring it out. But there certainly can be things in the records that create a chronic illness. But I'm not going to, just as I can't say, so I have people who double their income overnight. I have people who get their biggest client. I have people who all of a sudden, I had one woman who had I think 3 miscarriages in 5 years. And as soon as her records were cleared, she got pregnant and had a baby to term. So it can affect your health as well. But I don't know what it's going to exactly do until we clear the records, and then you make new choices in your life. And so sometimes chronic problems have a lot to do with what you're telling yourself, the stories you're telling yourself, and the point of view that you have about the world, which, I always say to people, we really do live in a benevolent universe. You get to choose whether you believe that or not. And that makes a huge difference in your life experience, because every experience then has some purpose behind it. I don't want to keep going on, but I would like to speak about working with cancer patients, which I found that every one of them was on an amazing spiritual journey, and that it was a big opening. And sometimes that is part of your soul path, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes being able to be healed is part of your soul path, and sometimes not being able to be healed is part of your soul path. But no matter what is happening to you, there is in it the ability to grow and evolve.
So what do you see? I mean, so someone comes to you and they I imagine that they will come to you with something that they feel stuck or that is not
Mhm.
really going their way. And then how do you connect with with the records? How do you, I mean, I know you said it was kind of natural, but how do you connect with it? How do you know, how do you see what is going on there?
um, well, I don't see a lot, and sometimes I see, but I'm more of a clairsentient, more of a clairaudient type person. I am clairvoyant, but I don't always see things. So the way that I actually connect with the records just by asking to connect with the records. And I know a lot of people teach a process, and probably it is a sacred place, so it's a beautiful energetic, so that when you get in there, you can feel that beauty, that love, that compassion that's there. So it's very high vibration. And then I ask to connect with that person's soul. And I use some information. I ask for your birth date and your place of birth and your birth name. And it's not because it's astrological. It's just like, do I have the right soul? That's all it's for. And then once I've confirmed that, which I've never gotten the wrong soul, but if your name was Joe Smith, it might be useful.
Yeah.
And then I just start asking questions about your soul's path. And I do the reading offline because it's very, very detailed. So I come back and tell you exactly, I give you a written report that tells you exactly what your soul gifts are and how you can use them, something about your soul origination and maybe your soul specialization. And by the way, my soul specialization turned out to be a restoration master, which means I am here to change blueprints and work with blueprints. And of course, your soul is a blueprint. That's a soul. Your Akashic record is the blueprint of your soul.
So
And
when you're clearing the Akashic records, that's really the restoration and changing the blueprint, because
yes, exactly, clearing those things that are in front of the blueprint. So then I do then we get on a call, and I send you the written report all about your soul, and then I get on a call, and I will tell you about the things that I found that are interfering with your expression of your soul. And the purpose behind that is really, sometimes I feel like, well, why do I tell people this? Because we're going to remove it, and so it's not really that important. And so, on some level, on another level, it helps them sometimes to say, oh yeah, that's happened to me a million times, or oh yeah, I had that pattern. Oh, is that why that happened to me? Kind of experience. And so it just helps them to see. And then I do the clearing, which is I go into your Akashic records, and I'll say two things about that. Is one, no one can go in your Akashic records without your permission. They're yours and they're sacred. And two, I can't make changes in them without your permission. And of course, that's true of all healing, really, in the end. Without permission, you can't really do anything, right?
yeah.
And then we meet again, and I talk to you about what your alignment is like and what things you need to do to bring yourself more in alignment. Then I can look at your your 7 keys to manifesting, because everybody manifests differently. And this tells you a lot about relationships, about who you connect with more fully, what kinds of clients you might want to work with. It can be applied to all aspects of your life. And then we do
And so
another.
do you clear, is it just one thing at a time, or if I
Oh
come
no,
to you and I say no, it's everything,
everything at
or
once.
okay.
Everything at once, and then that puts your life on a new, it's like getting a clean slate at this moment at that level, and it puts your life on a new trajectory, and then you get the freedom to make new choices going forward. Now, some things you can't recreate, but some of those, there's some thought patterns in there. I do look at negative thought patterns, forms, and things like that, if you wanted to recreate those, you could, but most of it you can't.
And so like you said, you're giving people the steps for alignment or things that they can do differently moving forward. Can you
Yes.
give me an example of something that you might be recommending to people to do differently?
Well, it really depends on the person. It could be for example, if one of their soul powers is truth, then they have to look and see where any place in their life where there's not truth in existence, any relationships where there isn't truth, any so for marketing, for example, they everybody should be truthful, but they absolutely have to be truthful because that takes them out of alignment with their soul if they're not. So they have to look at those different kinds of things. And then those people tend to be visionaries. And so they can see bigger pictures, and sometimes they have a hard time starting something or getting going because they're like trying to fill in the whole picture. And when they really just need to back up and just take the next step and allow things to go. So there's certain qualities, or let's say, we could say pitfalls that come with a particular gift that if not aware, so you get this awareness. Oh, so I need to be more careful about, like, I can vision something, but I don't have to have every detail in order to go forward. So there's a lot of that kind of thing involved. It can be that you have, so in another instance, some people really need a lot of freedom. So you get to look at where in your life don't you have freedom? And we talk about what that might look like. And either you can remove yourself from the situation, or you can reframe how you see the situation, or there's all different possibilities for making adjustments to bring you into alignment with your soul.
And after you clear the records, can they at some point get back, that need more clearing?
If they, it's just like how you go around the spiral when you evolve.
Yeah.
So, you get to another level and you might get different interferences that show up, just like that's how it works. But for the most part, I think, the clearing change. Let me give you an example. I had a woman who was, it'll be a business example, but a woman who was making about $80,000 a year, and she had tried twice to grow her business and spent a lot of money and was about ready to quit. And we went through her records and we found a small thing that needed to be shifted, and she shifted it. And she, within 3 years, has a multi-million-dollar business. Now, that was the seed that put her on a new trajectory. She had to make all those decisions and actions and things after that. But without that shift, it would not have happened.
Yeah.
It opened the possibility of that happening. It opened the probability. We always have many possibilities in front of us. It opened the possibility of that happening, and then she created it. So that's how powerful it can be to just make that shift.
Yeah, that definitely sounds very powerful. So you said you're obviously working on the soul level. Does the soul in that case have to belong to someone who is alive, or can you also connect with people who are no longer?
Yeah, I can clear. You can clear souls for people who are already passed. Isn't that interesting? So you can clear the soul, and that helps them when the soul comes back for another. Souls are immortal. I've had the experience of working on people and experiencing past lives, and I work with past lives. I don't know exactly what they are. All I know is that they're a tool that we have to work with to help us to heal. Yeah. And so it can help them, and when the soul comes back again. So yes, I can work with people who have passed. I can only work with people I have permission with. Like you can get permission for your spouse or your significant other if your finances are intertwined and your lives are intertwined. You can give permission for your children if they're financially dependent on you, because your Akashic records are intertwined, and permission for yourself. But you can't call me and say, I'd like my sister to be read. No, I can't. I once, years ago, when I was living in Austria, had someone call me up and tell me that her sister was a terror and she wanted me to heal her. And I said, no, we can work on you, but we can't work on your sister.
Yes, I am familiar with that. So with my energy healing, sometimes people say, why can't you just connect with some, world's leaders and just, clear some things from them, because they obviously need it.
We can certainly send them love and light and peace and good wishes. And if it's a world leader, sending them bad wishes isn't
not to send them bad wishes, but in the work that I do, I clear trapped emotions and stuff. So they say, if you clear that, if you just connect to someone and clear that, maybe there would be more peace in the world.
Well, you
but
know we can't do that.
no, 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 it's not, absolutely not
We
ethical.
don't have permission to do that. But we
Exactly.
can send them, we can send love and light their way, and a supportive energy. And the most important thing, really, if you ask me, is that create peace in your own life. If you want peace in the world, it begins with you.
Mm.
So look at the, even look at the vocabulary that people use. Like I saw somebody the other day, what was it? I don't know. I saw a business one time, it's called bulletproof something. I was like, don't talking about don't be talking about bullets. I mean, so even changing your languaging, there's a nonviolent communication, which is very challenging to remove from your languaging any kind of aggressive, nasty language. Even that, you're changing the energetics of the world when you do that. That's where our
Yeah.
power is with ourselves, right?
Mm. Absolutely. But tell us a little bit about how people work with you. Is it a one-off? Is it a program? Is it how if someone listening wants to find out more?
Yeah, I work in a program. It's called the Soul Wealth Treasure Map, and it is, and in that I do as I've described earlier. I look at your soul gifts, and it's a 4 week, 4 to 6 week program, but it's 4 sessions, 2 of them in the Akashic Records, and 2 intuitive um, assists with coming into alignment. And I actually evaluate your alignment and tell you exactly where you're out of alignment in various areas. And so that's the program that I offer to people. And while and I know your audience is more around healing of health issues, and I've focused more on business, anything that I do is also applicable to every part of your life. So it's just a matter of looking to see. So, we can all look for where we're not telling the truth in our lives, or we're not telling ourselves the truth. That's a big one right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
so
And
I'm
no, no,
sorry.
please.
I usually have a conversation with people before I do ask some questions. They're more business oriented, but that's okay. I just put not applicable. And I do have a conversation with people, and I have a bit.ly link. It's at bit.ly/wealthy soul. And I'm always happy. It's complimentary, and I'm always happy to talk with people and see where they're at and what might be helpful for them.
Yeah, wonderful. And of course, we will put all of your links and everything wherever people watch or listen to this podcast. And just before we finish, can you share with us any success story that really stands out for you in healing? I
Well,
mean, wealth or health.
yeah, well, I did share the one story about this client that stands out. I mean, synchronicities happen when, I've been doing some things around synchronicities. I have a little giveaway on synchronicities as well, but I've been doing some thinking about synchronicities. And of course, when you clear your records, synchronicities start to happen. Like you get a phone call or you overhear a conversation, and maybe there's a solution to some issue that you've been working on. And so I've had people have lots of synchronicities within 24 hours, like all of a sudden getting a call from the biggest client they've ever had, or, how about someone getting a $10,000 raise in their job out of the
Okay.
blue. Or yeah. I mean, it's who knows, because there's synchronicities, anything can happen. And, or, as I mentioned, the woman who was unable to have a pregnancy to full term. I've had people with who had chronic back pain have some resolution. I've also had someone who really wanted to leave the planet and come back from that experience, and really feel hopeful about their future based on their having their records cleared. Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
It must be such an incredible experience working with people and
Yeah.
really seeing the differences between
Yeah.
where they were and where they are now, and also, like you say, just by understanding what you've just cleared, like you said about the other
Yeah.
example that you've given. Yeah,
Yeah. And being free to be who they are. And because sometimes those patterns keep them from being free. You know
yeah,
this, 'cause you work with patterns as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very excited by everything that you've shared. It really is. It sounds like like a magic thing that anyone would, would want to do. So I'm very happy to share that with everyone watching or listening. Um, yeah. So like I said, I will share all of your links below wherever people noticing this. But for anyone listening, I really want you to share with us what is your biggest takeaway. What is something that you didn't know about the Akashic records or your patterns or your soul before, and now you do.
Oh,
Um,
that's lovely.
yeah, Serena, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Oh,
I
thank
really
you.
appreciate
My
it.
pleasure. My
Thank you.
pleasure. Totally.
Thank you.